Alright then, it's time for Team Battle Nasus. And yes, this is a normal game with friends. Hooray for friendship! Mystic 1. And yeah, Nasus hasn't been doing so well in the Season 5 jungle or top lane. Because honestly, the game has become a lot faster and he's been nerfed a lot in the past seasons. So his supportive qualities aren't there to make up for his lack of power, so to speak, or at least early power. Most of the junglers used now can make an impact early, while Nasus always sort of took a more slow and steady approach. Farm up, gain levels, use those ranks on your levels to carry you through the day. I mean, his E is really strong when you get ranks in it, but it's very weak when you don't. His Q becomes a powerhouse again when you get levels and farm it up, but again, early game you don't. And that will actually be seen pretty well here. I mean, I'm actually going to rewind it too because I kind of wanted to highlight this while I was recording, but I sort of forgot. Either way, we kill Riven, she's dead, no chance in hell. But I knew she was going to do this. I knew she was going to be in this exact positioning, or at least close to it. While I go farm my red buff, I can notice that my teammate is sort of getting very aggroed upon by the enemy Riven. And the enemy Riven is pushing against his lane. As you see here, she pushes these 3 minions, and then goes off to ward down bottom, hugging the wall. So I know she would be near this tribush, and in fact, you see me ping for this. My teammate responds appropriately, and in a 1v1, I would have died to the Riven, even if I had a double buff. My teammate Riven shows up and kills her for me, yeah. Though I get the kill. So here's the idea here, is I didn't have an item, so obviously I was weak, and of course Nasus isn't that strong until you farm up and get levels. So of course she would have killed me, and that's kind of what I think about how the jungle affects Nasus right now. You don't get Q stacks or unless all you do is farm. But if all you do is farm, then the other junglers who are a lot more proactive and a lot faster are gonna punish your teammates for not having your support. And if you end up just supporting your teammates, well, you're not going to do so well. The new jungle doesn't let you, gank and farm or hover around the lanes too much without getting punished. And honestly, for a slower jungler like Nasus, and remember, he's slow only because he needs to farm up, that's really punishing. So either you speed through the hell out of this jungle using, ranks on your E and just melting it, but sacrificing your Q, or you kind of just farm up your Q and sort of abandon your teammates. Both have really bad consequences, right? Like if you just power farming with your E, then you're going to be a really gimped out Nasus, and your supportive qualities aren't enough to make up for it. Because if you're going to use Nasus for his shred on his E, why not just use Jarvan in the first place? If you're going to use it for your Wither, then why not just use Nunu, who's probably a lot more suited for supportive qualities. I mean, Nasus' supportive qualities are still great, but they're not being used as effectively because you aren't allowed to farm up and make yourself like a semi-fighter alongside them. So you're kind of gimped out. I mean, you still have the weaknesses of being kited around that Nunu and Jarvan don't necessarily have, and your damage will never get spectacular even if you farm it up slightly. So, and again, the new jungle punishes you for doing that. So yeah, Nasus has seen better times, better days, and which is why I wouldn't recommend him for rank play right now. Hell, even in this, you can see the only kills I actually sort of got were kind of handed to me, or the experience I got was just because I was there. This is the only gank right now that I'll be able to actually pull off, but it's more because the enemy fucked up rather than me being there. It's like almost any jungler would have been able to get this, really. Just one CC. In fact, my Zyro teammate sort of did it. I just kind of provided some damage to finish it off. The enemy Nidalee has also sort of been globetrotting, but she's sort of been... I figure that Nidalee isn't too experienced with the new jungle. I mean, his spears are fucking dead on, which makes me believe that he knows how to play Nidalee. Just probably new to the whole jungle game. And as you can see, I go back, and around just 11 minutes, I don't even have a substantial amount of my Q, and I barely have a Sheen, and I guess Juggernaut too. It's just kind of lame. Like back then, you'd probably be a monster by now. When you get your Sheen, you just start cracking skulls. Sure, you'd still get kited and stuff, but damn, you'd be a menace. And once again here, I just sort of show up at the right time so you get more experience or whatever. So it's kind of not the best game to showcase Nasus going all monster, but if you were able to, you kind of would just melt people. I mean, back in season 4 and season 3, if you go back on my replays, you could see that you could carry as jungle Nasus. You could, like, your teammates could fuck up all they want throughout the whole game, but then you could come out as a fucking beast and just slaughter everybody. Now I just sort of don't feel that way. This is my second game as jungle Nasus, and the first one was such a reality check in which it made me believe a lot of my old favorite junglers are not going to be cutting it, and that's kind of why it actually discouraged me from playing a lot of the preseason. This was in December when there were very little videos. A lot of my favorite junglers just got their asses destroyed, and I'm fortunate that some of my favorite junglers can manage it in some variations, sort of like Nautilus, but Nasus is just somebody who's not that healthy right now in terms of jungle potential. Top lane, you can still just kind of zone out and Q farm forever if your matchup allows it, but in the jungle, not so much. Nasus, but that's the thing, Nasus does not need a buff. There's not anything, because honestly, Nasus is one of those champions who will be forever meta dependent as his kit stays this way. And honestly, if they were to buff him in any way, they might have to risk making it so his Q doesn't stack infinitely, because honestly, that's kind of one of the most broken skills in the game in theory. But in practice, there's a lot of ways to keep it from getting crazy. But if you fail to do so, obviously you've seen him one-shot enemy carries. Like you saw me there, I kind of just chunked her. So though, if the meta becomes slower, if the meta allows for more supporting champions to sort of come back, then I can definitely see Nasus being the jungler to come back. But right now, there's no way in hell he'll be used. I mean, I can't think of any team comp he'd be useful for, and I already brought up the alternatives like Nunu or Jarvan or hell, Lee Sin. Lee Sin kind of fills the same goddamn role anyways, really. Of course, Nasus is always fun, and he really can carry in certain situations. So if in those situations end up popping up and where, you know, the dream comes true, where the enemy team picks slow champions like, let's call it, well, not slow champions, but champions with lower mobility, or champions that rely on team fights but aren't exactly going to push their lanes, like, yeah, Nasus will be great, but I can't really think of many, honestly. So here, another team fight breaks out. I kind of get lost by myself, so I end up just getting absolutely butchered. But it distracts the enemy vein long enough for them not to be clustered up, so the Zed just gets in and just tears everyone to pieces. He will die too, sadly, but then the Riven gets a chance to shine, and she's going to pretty much annihilate everybody. She ends up killing the other Riven. She ends up killing this Nidalee, who gets a little ahead of herself and gets tangled and absolutely massacred. And then Riven decides that, you know, 2 kills means I should go kill myself. So Riven goes off and dies, and Zyra picks off the Vayne, just, you know, to round out this whole clusterfuck. So I'm actually thinking of making a video sort of detailing which junglers are kind of the losers of this, and not because they're bad, but just because the meta doesn't allow it. I mean, there's only a few junglers I would say that need buffs. Fucking Evelyn really needs some help right now. That's kind of a sad situation for her. But a lot of other junglers are just kind of fine. They're okay. Some of them are unusable, or not recommended, better to say that. They're not unusable, it's just not recommended. And others are like, and most of them are just kind of dependent on the meta. Again, Nasus. The only other jungler I could say that probably needs a complete rework, because no matter what, they'll never figure him out. It's probably Skarner, because I mean, if he's good, he's too good. If he's bad, then he's just not ever going to be used. Like right now, he's in a medium, and you can't have a medium character ever, especially when Vi walks around. So though, as you can see, in most of this game, I've shown up for fortunate kills, I've gotten gold, and I do hit hard, but not as hard as I should. My Q isn't as farmed as I normally would have it in other games. Go check it out. By now, I usually would have about 300 something. I believe right now I have like 220 something, but yeah. Nidalee fucks up her jump and pretty much gets destroyed. We give chase to the enemy Thresh, and honestly, because I've been taking too many kills, I decide just to wither him to get an assist, and then just let my Caitlyn kill him. I catch the Katarina because I figured she couldn't have teleported that soon. So fortunately, my Spirit Fire ended up catching her, and juke as she might, she was not gonna get away. So she gets killed. Hooray for us! Assist and power. I know this is not the most exciting game to be witnessing, but come on, it's just me wanting to sort of commentate on one of my favorite junglers and sort of kind of feel sad about his position right now. I mean, again, needs no buffs. It's just pure meta. If it shifts, he could come back, but so he doesn't really need any changes. It's just nostalgic feeling, right? I kind of miss a lot of junglers. Like Darius, you guys know, is was one of my favorite junglers. He hasn't been good since season 4, and of course season 5 now just completely obliterates him. Nasus also kind of fallen off the grid. Nautilus sort of seen better days, but he's also kind of special case. Volibear, he's really good too right now, but you know, he's got too much competition. It's just right. The jungle pool's sort of narrowed, and kind of I missed the versatility you had in season 4 and especially season 3. Nonetheless, though, you could still play whatever the hell you want. I would rather have my teammates play, you know, what they know best rather than forcing themselves to play Jarvan. I already mentioned in the other game in which I actually had teammates yell at other teammates during Champion Select. Oh, play this champion. Oh my God, you left Rek'Sai up. It's like, motherfucker, Rek'Sai was up and nobody picked her in our team, but you were the captain and you didn't bother banning her, so it's kind of your own damn fault. So that you can see, the chunking power goes down as the game goes on if you're not farming up your Q. And of course, you see me roaming too much, it isn't being farmed up. So, yeah, damage is trailing off. I mean, I still do more damage than a champion with this sort of build in other champions with this sort of build would have been dealing. But still, I kind of missed that whole one-shot the enemy carry kind of feeling about around this time. Either way, I guess it's Valentine's Day for you guys, so happy Valentine's Day. If you're watching this, you probably don't have a Valentine, so I'll be your Valentine. We chase after the Katarina. She gets slowed. She gets obliterated. I run in there to tank it just a little bit so that Zay can go in and deal some damage, though he ends up just flashing forward and murdering the character. And after that, the game is pretty much over. You can see the enemy team is going to surrender due to the length of this game. We push forward, we get the inhibitor, and the enemy team has stood pretty much no chance this entire game. And the enemy team wasn't bad either. We just kind of crushed them when they made a lot of mistakes. So hooray for team friendship here, and hooray, or not hooray for Nasus. He's seen better days, but I just hope the meta shifts enough to bring back a lot of our old loved ones. Hooray for Nasus though.